this code of Barack Obama that's spreading through a large part of the Torah, this is not in one section, as you're going to see. If you look at it, it's all over. It's maybe 1,000 of letters skip code. Now, it tells the story of him in these Pisukim. Let's just see the top one, the bet. It's from Noach, the peoples, the Mishpechotam begoyehem upnei Cham Kush. This is about Cham and Kush. He was the black president. And also when you look at Lech Lecha Revi'i, which is the Wednesday portion. Now, when he won his first term, I remember looking and saying it's got to be in the Torah, because everything's in the Torah, in the weekly portion and the daily portion. So when he won, and it was Tuesday night, because we vote in America Tuesday, and it was Lech Lecha, so Tuesday night when he had his his victory speech, and everyone was clapping and all that, it was a big scene. So I said, let's see in Revi'i what's happening tonight. Things that are of a major event, usually you could see in the Torah. But otherwise, every day, sometimes it's not noticeable, although it's in there. So right away, look what it says. Vahi bimei Amrafel, melech Shinar. This is the 4 kings battling the 5 kings, where they took Lot and Abraham Avinu came to save him. So that's already Amrafel. And look what it says by Rashi, taking from Eruvin Nun Gimel. He says here, Hu Nimrod. Amrafel is Nimrod, who was the black king. She'amar le'Avraham, Pol letoch kivshan ha'esh. That he told to Avraham to push him into the kivshan ha'esh, the burning fire. So again, we have a king who's Nimrod come back to do the same thing to the Jews. And that's why Vahi Bimei is always a Lishon Sa'ar, a sad type of a phrase that shows a calamity. And we see by the end of his term, even throughout his terms, he was not good for the Jewish people, even until today. Even after he's over, he's not really over, as we see. Only with Trump, he'll start to be over. So look how it's already pinning him with Cham and Kush, and we know Nimrod is of that family. And it's all there, his story. How interesting. Now there's another line, the Kuf, where it says, Vaitzak tzaka gidula umara ad me'od. And he cried a very great cry. This is Esav. This is Esav crying. Now what does this have to do with Obama? And it's such an interesting thing. As Rabbi Mendel Kessin teaches, that, Esav has been over the presidency because, Europe moving here, it's the Europeans, which is Esav. It's always Esav, America. If you take the word America backwards, it's Ka-Roma, like Rome. It's a continuation of Rome. So always the president has been like Esav, sitting on the big throne, on the chair, being in charge. Now, when Obama won, it was really the end of Esav's reign and the beginning of Yishmael. Now, really, Yishmael, in a way, started ever since the Twin Towers. And, that's when it really became like Ishmael was starting to be in charge. But really, Obama came in shortly after that. That was in Bush's time. And after Bush came Obama. So it's almost like, because we say there's 4 exiles, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. But at the end of Rome, there'll be Yishmael, that exile, and then it'll be the end. So when Yishmael took over, it was the end of Esav, really, in that way, or the ending of Esav. Really, they end together, but there's a significant time that Yishmael takes over and becomes like the right hand of the Satan of evil. So again, with the Twin Towers and with Obama in, that's really showing Yishmael had the upper hand. until Mashiach comes, because now it's all Yishmael again, and with Hamas and all that. The Holocaust was really the end of Esav in a way. Of course, more presidents sat in after that, but it was like the ending of it. So what does this pasuk have to do? This, when Esav found out that the blessings went to his brother Yaakov, he let out a great cry because he lost the blessings. So that's what happened here. When in heaven, meaning Bush and all of them before, it was like Esav had the control and the seat of the presidency, like the throne, we'll say. But all of a sudden, when Obama won, it's like Hashem pushed Esav off his throne and put Obama there. Now Yishmael takes over. So in heaven, he cried again. He lost the berachot. He lost the dominion and world power, because now it moved to somebody else. So look how fitting, in the name Barack Obama, it shows that Esav gave a loud cry, because it's showing in heaven that he lost again at this point in history. And he won't get it back, even, after Obama was, Trump, who's of the good side. So we're not going to lump him even with the others that's from Esav. Even though technically it's Esav, but we're talking about the evil Esav. Trump is already on the good side. And then you had Biden again, which is more Obama, and then Trump again. So it's almost like with Trump and whoever will be after him, God willing, of course, it's like the old Esavians have been finished. Bush might have been the last of them, which is interesting. America started with GW, George Washington, and it ended with GW, Bush. Maybe just to show that Hashem made the name be the same, just to show those are the bookends. And then when Obama came, it shifted to Yishmael. And then if another guy came in like Trump, it's just showing it's a different type of a person altogether, or a country, meaning that we're starting on the good side. So you don't lump him with the others. Okay, anyway. So you see, look how interesting that he's letting out that cry, showing what happened when Obama won. Esav has been kicked off his chair. Now, if you look at the Aleph, Obama, it says, Ha'oneoti b'yom sarati. This is Yaakov saying that God, answered me in the time of my trouble. And then the Vav, Obama, the O, the U, it says, Ra'inu tsarat nafsho. This is with Yosef, the brother saying, we saw his trouble and we didn't do anything about it. So look how two words of tsarot in these two lines, just to show again, Obama is about giving tsarot, troubles, either to the Jews or to Yosef, and even maybe to the Mashiach ben Yosef, because it's talking about Yosef here, because he's like the anti-Yosef, so to speak, which we'll get to. Now, if you look in Ha'azinu, it says in Perek Lamed Bet 32, 41, it says, Im shanoti berak charbi, if I will sharpen shanoti, like sharpen teeth, like vishinantam bebanecha, Im shanoti berak, the lightning charbi of my sword. God is saying, I will have the sword with lightning that'll take care of the enemies. V'tochez b'mishpat yadi, and I will bring justice in my hands. Of course, God's saying here that he's going to punish the enemies. But we could read it that this is Barak making war and bringing judgment to the Jews, meaning God using him for judgment. Just like we say Biden is Bedin, and, it's bringing judgment. So im shanoti can also be like Shina, the second time. In his second term is when he really did most of the trouble. And it says Berak, which is Barak Charbi, waged war against me. What did he do? Well, the young boy that had a near-death experience that you can get online, his name was Nathan or Nathan. And he said that when he went up to Shamayim, and rabbis verify it, that he pinned Obama as being Gog, Gog u'Magog. That's why we said the anti-Yosef. So he said he was Gog. Other rabbis today even are explaining that that's who he is, because he's going against Israel and the leader. He's like the leader of all the people who are going against Israel. That's who Gog is. Now, Natan was saying how Gog u'Magog started on 27 of Elul, which was September 11th, 2015. Not the 9/11 of, when the towers came down. This is 2015. So what I did was I looked in the, internet to see what happened that day. September 11th, 2015, it says, nuclear deal victory secured. And this is Obama doing this for Iran, the nuclear deal. So that's what happened, literally on that day. And this was like the last year of Obama's presidency. So he did something so against Israel and the Jewish people right in his last year. He wanted to just get that in, and he did. So we see this was a direct result in what happened in Simchat Torah, the October 7th in Eretz Yisrael with Hamas. It all started from that. And rabbis say that Gog u'Magog is what happened there on Simchat Torah. So now if Obama's the one that got the funds to Iran, so then it means he's the one who's running it. So that's Gog again. Now, even though Trump, bankrupt Iran, so when Biden came in, Biden doesn't know what to do. He knows Iran, not Iran, let them, grow. He doesn't know about all this really. So it must be his old boss told him, okay, good, now you're in. Now let's go help Iran again. And that's why they got all the money to do this, the October 7th. And now Trump is in again. Now you might say, why is Trump in the middle of Obama and Biden? So you could say because Gog u'Magog, as Rabbi Kessin explains, is when good is thriving and evil wants to stop the good. That's really what it is. Evil wants to stop the good. So it's almost like Trump was in first, bringing the good times and maybe leading into the messianic times. And that's why Gog u'Magog then came to fight that. So that's why Biden got in after the forces of evil were at work. And that's why what happened in Israel happened after Trump. Because it's like to get Trump out of the way, so to speak. So good shows his head first, and then evil tries to take it down. And then good ultimately wins, which is what we're hoping now that Trump is back again. Not that he's the redemption, but he's a sign of it. God is who makes the redemption. But he's using Trump just like he'll use any of us, as long as we're good and want to do the right thing. Now, as far as Esav, we said he lost the chair, but he was crying from Yaakov Avinu's time. So why is he crying then and he's crying now? If he keeps crying, it means he never got anything. No, so just remember, he cried with Yaakov because he lost the blessings. But he knew that Yitzhak said, if Yaakov will ever sin, which we did after the second temple, to a large extent more than even when the first temple was down, then Esav can grab those blessings. That's why he destroyed the second temple, because we already sinned and the Shekhinah left us. So that's when Esav did get the blessings, all the way until Obama, and that's why he cried again. So he did have a time of success in between, just to clarify that point. Now it says also here, when you look at the mem of Obama in the code here, Hashamayma, look at the words to the right. It says Piach HaKivshan, And it talks about the Shechin. This is one of the 10 plagues. As you move more to the right, it says Shechin. Now, Kivshan, that was like Nimrod and Abraham Avinu in the fiery furnace. So even that's here to show that's him. Now, the last sentence, it says who, with an aleph, Obama. That's how one of the ways of expelling it. And it says here, El Kitzei Eretz Kenan, Veha Omer Asirit Haifa Hu. This is the Omer, and it ends with who. He is. Now, what was the Omer? The Omer was really the manna. And you know what it says about it? You know how it writes it? Haman. Haman, you have Haman, Haman with the Achashverosh, without a dot. And then you have Haman with the dot to show that it's the manna. So it's still the same word. So look how it's pointing to something about Obama and resembling Haman, because that is who, it says who, and that's the Asiri Taifaz of the manna. And we know, of course, Gog and Haman, it's all the same person in a way. So could this be who he is? Of course, we don't know. We're just looking and seeing what he does in the world and trying to piece things together. Just to read you the verse in Bishalach, Tet Zayin, Lamed Hey, it says, Ubnei Yisrael achru et Haman, Bnei Yisrael ate Haman, 40 shana, ad boam el eretz noshabet. And then it says, Et Haman achilu ad boam el ketzei eretz Kenan, vehaomer atziri taifa hu. Listen to a clip that Obama said, and then we'll explain it.
It is not fair that a Palestinian child cannot grow up in a state of their own. It's not just when settler violence against Palestinians goes unpunished.
Did he just say it's not just that we go unpunished? Now, if you look in, this is a clip that's called Put Yourselves in Palestinian Shoes that Obama gave. Now, what's interesting here on the internet, it's showing March 21st, 2013, and it says like this, which I couldn't believe. During a speech in Jerusalem, President Obama counseled Israelis to look at the world through the eyes of Palestinians. So he just told the Israelis in Israel that they have to go, it's not just to go unpunished. I can't believe that. This is like mind-boggling. Did this really happen? I mean, it says so. What did everyone say? What kind of a thing was that? And then we know how we got punished, right? What happened? Has Iran funded so that they have the ability to do what happened on October 7th, on Simchat Torah. That was our punishment. So here's a president who's punishing us, telling the world that we deserve to be punished outright. And in Israel, he's going to say it. I don't understand. I don't know what people said after this speech. So this is just like Haman that thought we all have to be punished, if you remember. Also, when you look at the code of Vahi Bimei Amrafel, I forgot to say, from the Hey of Vahi, if you take every second letter, you have Hey, Bet, Mem, Aleph. That's Obama. So he's right there, Vahi Bimei Amrafel. And again, like Rashi said, Amar Pol, that's the name Amrafel. He said to fall to push Avraham Avinu into the furnace. Now, an interesting link to show that what happened in Israel on Simchat Torah was Gog uMagog is because look how Hashem made the dates fall. That's how Hashem talks to us. The first Gog uMagog, like the Chavetz Chaim says, World War I and World War II was phase 1 and 2 of Gog uMagog, and phase 3 will be later in Eretz Yisrael. Now, 1 and 2 ended with the Nuremberg trial that they hung the 10 Nazis, and that was like the end of it all. The end of the Holocaust, in a sense, was like that was the culmination. At least some justice, was done. And that was on Hoshana Rabbah. Hoshana Rabbah is the day before Simchat Torah, of course, in Israel, 2 days over here. outside meaning. So look how really Hoshana Rabbah and Simchat Torah, you could look at it as somewhat of the same day. One, meaning 1 and 2 closed on Simchat Torah or Hoshana Rabbah, and then the next one opened and happened on the same day. Just to show that what happened in Israel is a continuation of 1 and 2. That's how you can link them. So it means it is Gog uMagog, like the rabbis say. I'm just showing a further proof based on the dates. 1 closed and 1 opened on the same day. Of course, you have the Gaon Mevilna and different ones, different great rabbis that said on Simchat Torah or even Hoshana Rabbah, something of the end and Gog uMagog is going to happen. Like all the proofs they showed us when it all happened. We have the code that says Acharit HaYamim, and the words Acharit, if you take the last letters of the Milui, like Aleph is Pei is the last. So Acharit, all the ends, which is like the Pei, the end letters, it came out to that year. Tafshin Pei Dalid, which was the Hebrew year, 5784, because now we're in 85. And the Acharit is Aleph, so you have Pei at the end. That's the Pei for Tafshin Pei Dalid. Then you have Chet is Tav, that's the Tav of it. Resh is the Shin. Achari, Yod, is the Dalid. There's your Dalid of the year, which is 4. And Acharit, Tav, is with the Vav at the end, Tav, which means the 6,000th year, which is 5. So it's really 5. And then you'd say, like, hey, Tafshin Pei Dalid. So that's how the Hebrew year was. And Acharit HaYamim is like Acharit, the end of the year, meaning the end of the year, which is Simchat Torah. Even though Rosh Hashanah is the beginning, but still like the end of the cycle of reading the Torah, meaning the end of the year. So that could be that time. Also by Sukkot, it says, Betzet Hashanah. Again, they look in the Torah, it's also referred to as the end of the year, Sukkot, the end of Sukkot. Another thing, it says in Yechezkel, Lamed Tet 39, where it talks about Gog uMagog, it says in Pasuk 9, Tet, Vayatzeu Yoshbei Arei Yisrael, Ubiaru v'hisiku beneshek u'magen v'tzina bekeshet u'bchitzim u'b'makel yad u'bromach, all these weapons. The inhabitants of the cities of Israel will go out and have all these weapons to fight. And it says, Ubiaru bahem esh, they'll use it as a fuel, like a fire, sheva shanim, meaning fighting for 7 years. So we see Gog uMagog could last 7 years. So we certainly don't hope that from Simchat Torah we're going to wait 7 more years. So the way I look at it is, it was the time that Obama made the Iran deal. Now the Iran deal was in Obama's last year. And then you had Trump, which is 4 years. And then you had Biden in his 3 years, because it happened during the end year of Biden. So there's your 7 years. So it means ever since Obama started with the Iran deal, we've been fighting in Israel because they've been attacking all along anyway. So that's been the 7 years. So we're at the end of the 7 years, not the beginning of it. Maybe we can look at it that way. So again, Bezrat Hashem, we're at the end. We've seen the end of Gog uMagog by October 7th. And now again, hopefully we are in literally the times of Mashiach, and all good things will come to us and all berachot.